Finally, with the full release of Zenless Zone Zero, a lot of fun new characters are available for us to play. We've gotten a ton of freebies and pulls from the launch, as well as 45 million pre-register rewards, which is enough to guarantee us one standard 5-star. But this begs the question, which 5-star is the best, and which one should I pull from the standard banner? In this video today, we're gonna answer this exact question. We will discuss a brief overview of each unit and how they fit into different teams so that you can make the right choice. Grab yourself some Cool Ranch Doritos, which is obviously the superior kind, and let's do this. Let's kick things off with Von Lycaon, our first unit from the Victoria Housekeeping Co. This dashing wolfman primarily focuses on using kicks and melee attacks. Von Lycaon is a very good ice stun unit. For reference, units under the stun category have a strong focus on inflicting daze to the opponent, basically meaning breaking their toughness meter and making them dizzy. Our handsome wolfman is actually a pretty straightforward unit to use. Most of his attacks will deal ice damage and can be held down for more power. In fact, powering up his moves is the name of the game, so he can inflict even more stun/daze. As for his team compositions and utility that Von Lycaon will do well in, he primarily wants to be paired with a main DPS of sorts. His favorite teammates are fellow ice units and Victoria Housekeeping Co. members, so that his passives are met, ultimately making him and his team stronger. For the sake of this video, we won't be going deep into any of the hard details of any kits, but just know that meeting these passives is the best team building strategy you can use. Due to his ice attribute and high levels of stun, he's actually part of the best team you can get right now, mainly being Ellen Joe, Von Lycaon, and Sokaku. However, there is a good enough amount of ice units, and everyone gets the free made unit in Korin, so his passives and team building should be fairly easy anyway. Sticking with the Victoria Housekeeping Co., we have Alexandrina Sebastiane, or Rena for short. Rena is an S-rank electric support unit who focuses mainly on buffing allies and debuffing enemies. Her cute little puppet friends are named Drusilla and Anastella, and they'll alternate dealing physical and electric damage in her kit. She, like the others, is also a fairly straightforward unit to use, and her most important part is her passive, which is automatic for her team. In basic terms, her passive will increase the penetration ratio of her allies by a strong amount. Penetration ratio is simply a defense ignore towards the enemy, which in turn just makes ally damage a lot higher. She will also increase the duration of shock, the electric anomaly, on the enemy, as well as increase squad electric damage while in that shock state. If you need a reminder on attribute anomaly, check out my full Zenless Zone Zero guide video. With that being said, Alexandrina will prefer to be paired with electric units ultimately for both passives. Since she is in the Victoria Housekeeping Co., she'll also look for those faction requirements in the others. But let me be clear here, Alexandrina isn't absolutely crazy support just from that free penetration ratio. While she will be even better in electric squads, she's very universal and works in a ton of different teams. Let's head on over to the Cunning Hairs now and meet a very strong physical DPS unit. Nekomata is in fact, in all likelihood, the strongest physical unit in the game so far. I actually pulled her twice in the closed beta test 3, and she absolutely stormed through most of the content. Her attacks will focus on quick, strong slashes aided by things like her dodge counter, which provides immense physical damage. Her animations are really cool, and she's actually pretty fun to use. In fact, if you get one more copy of her, when she hits an enemy from behind, she has a backstab feature, basically just increasing her damage by a good margin just from being behind the enemy. And trust me, with all of her quick movement, she has no problem getting back there. With all of this strength, her kit is still pretty easy to understand as well, so no need to really worry about perfecting her rotations or anything here nearly as much. As for team synergy, you always want to run her as your main DPS. Her damage output is top notch, so pair her with any of the supports, stun, or anomaly units in the game. If she is in squad with another person who is physical or from the Cunning Hairs, she gets even stronger damage percent on some of her moves, especially when Assault is active. Quick note to remember that Assault is the physical version of Attribute Anomaly. With this in mind, her optimal pairings will be with other physical units, like Billy Kid, who so happens to also be a Cunningham. Because of the power of friendship, Anby and Nicole Damara are also very good teammates for her since they're from the same faction. Let's move on to the Belobog Heavy Industries, starting with Grace Howard. Of all of the standard banner S-rank characters, her concept of her kit is probably the toughest to understand, but it's still not too bad. She is an S-rank electric attribute unit who focuses on Anomaly. Remember that units in the Anomaly category are very good at getting those shock or burn or assault, etc. depending on what element they are. Grace is exceptional at getting shock on these enemies and in fact boosts more shock damage the more she causes it. Pretty much every move she has will in some way buff her ability to provide shock or its relative damage. This is also seen in her passive. When another member of Belobog Industries or a fellow electric unit are on the same team as Grace, her shock effect will increase even more. For that reason, Belobog Heavy Industries or electric teams are going to be the best for her. However, electric teams will definitely have the edge just because of their utility with shock. That's quite shocking, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's just move on. Anyway, sticking with Belobog Industries, the President is next. Miss Koleda Belobog is an S-rank fire stun unit. Also, I gotta say that I really loved Chapter 2 with the Belobog Heavy Industries, so if you haven't played it yet, make sure you do. Don't worry though, I won't spoil it. Koleda wields a mighty hammer, so she can pack quite a punch. Like other stun units, her primary focus is of course dealing large amounts of daze to the enemy. Her kit is very straightforward and revolves around impact percent, which can boost the amount of days your moves do. She also has a very cool secret mechanic. If you team her up with one of my favorite units, Mr. Ben Bigger, and trust me, you have to say it just like that because he's so cool. When Koleda is teamed up with Ben, she will do coordinated attacks with him, amplifying her damage and abilities. In fact, this will even give added bonuses to a few of her moveset. Plus, the animations are really cute, and this sets a really awesome precedent going forward. Imagine if Hoyoverse releases a twin character or something where they can just keep coordinating their attacks and teaming up. Anyway, Koleda's passives really revolve around extra days. Make sure she shares another team with another Belobog or fire attribute member so she gets these passives. In addition, one of the best teams you can get right now is a mono fire team, and it's one of my two teams that I've been using. My current A team is Soldier 11, Ben Bigger, and Lucy. Although yesterday I did lose my 50-50 to Koleda, so she will be replacing Lucy, and that team is going to be even stronger. As usual for most stun units, impact percent will be your best friend for her, allowing extra days to come from her moves and stunning the enemies much more rapidly. But now let's talk about a unit I just mentioned, the very lonely Soldier 11. As of right now, she is all by herself from her squad, as no more units have been released yet. She is the primary fire DPS unit in the game as of launch, and she can absolutely do insane bits of damage. In fact, even at level 30, I was able to make it all the way to Shiyu Defense level 7. That of course being one of the two endgame modes. Because of that really good damage, she's been my main unit that I've used so far in the entire game. Soldier's kit is a bit more interesting than some others, as you have to time some attacks with her to get the most damage. Specifically on her basic attack, pressing the button at the right time will change her damage from smaller physical numbers to a lot bigger fire damage. Her passives also indicate she needs to pair with another fire type unit so she can deal even more damage. Bonus points if the enemy is stunned, further increasing the buff. As we get more units from her faction, her utility will naturally increase, meaning she hasn't even reached her peak potential yet. Of all of the S-rank normal banner units, her and Nekomata will be doing the most damage. Now it is time to finally choose. Who is the best S-rank for your account? Should you bother re-rolling? And as a quick note, even with the skip button, it takes about 40 minutes of gameplay to get back to the 50 novice banner pulls. I'm actually in the process of making a free-to-play / re-roll guide, so stay tuned for that video by subscribing. Ultimately, here's how I would personally rank these units, as the current state of the game, from the most likely I would pick to the least likely I would pick. However, these are just my opinions and you should literally pull for whoever you want anyway. Zenless Zone Zero is a pure team building game and is much bigger than just one unit in particular. That being said, I've gotta lean towards the damage characters, with the best ones being Ellen Jo and Zhu Yuan. They're of course limited. With this fact, damage characters are going to be the toughest to get right now, and while there isn't any bad units in the game right now, having Nekomata or Soldier 11 will vastly improve your team strength. In fact, building around those two characters with support, stun, anomaly is going to be a really good standard way to get your team optimized. This isn't to say that you can't use other characters, especially the free ones that are damage, but it'll be a lot simpler if you get those two. However, it significantly depends on what your current team compositions are. For example, if you have Ellen Jo, the best and easiest pick for you is Lycaon. He is Ellen's best teammate and is a top tier unit in his own category. But let's say you have a fresh account, you don't really have any well-constructed teams, and you're just starting out. We established that priority 1 is your DPS first and foremost. However, support-wise, the best choice for you is undeniably Rina. Her defense ignore is a godsend so early in the game, and she slots into a lot of teams, although her favorite is still that electric team. Since she is so universal, she is still a very good option and definitely should not be slept on. If you do like the current DPS units you would have, she could potentially be your best choice. Stun units, on the other hand, require some DPS and support around them so that they can provide their role better. For this reason, I would put Lycaon and Koleda below Rina, unless you have some good DPS to go with them. If you've already got those really strong DPS units like Nekomata, Soldier 11, or Ellen, the value of those stun units increases dramatically. Sadly, that leaves Grace Howard in my last spot, which makes me really sad because I love her and her amazing character design. She just requires some more support than the others and is a little bit more strange to build, especially down the line when you need those relics, aka disk drives. But let me make it clear again that it is highly dependent on what you personally need, hence the reason the selection part is at 300. You will have plenty of time to build teams, experiment, and ultimately make the right decision. Also, there is not a single bad unit in Zenless Zone Zero right now. Anybody is possible of clearing the content in the right ways. In fact, you cannot possibly make a bad decision, as every single one of these S ranks is pretty good in their own way. Like stated before, Zenless is a pure team building game and is much bigger than any unit in particular. So honestly, just really pick whoever you like the most. Have fun playing with whatever unit you want to. That's the beauty of these kinds of games. So there you have it, the general thoughts and ideas behind who you should pick for your S rank. Need damage? Pick Nekomata or Soldier 11. Need support? Rina is your girl. Want more stun for your cracked out DPS? Lycaon and Koleda will be your choice. Want to have that really interesting sub DPS with a lot of shot going on? Pick Grace Howard. But let me know what you think about Zenless Zone Zero and who you're going to select in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you all, and I can't wait to discuss this even further. Make sure to like the video if this helped in any way, subscribe for more Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai Star Rail, and other Gacha content, and that's it. Thanks for watching, and remember, all it takes is one pull. Bye for now.
Be a better place for us to live. Sister, brother, look at my armor. Believe the hammer, break the trigger.